This is boomer mode. Okay, now you're good?
I don't know. Am I good?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good now.
Hell yeah.
This is the boomer mode.
I love your chat. Oh god, he's so old.
Shit. Oh fuck.
So funny.
All right. All
We
right.
good now?
Yeah, I think
I don't
we're
have
good.
your stream open, so.
I'll
Okay, sweet.
I'll let you. You want to just guide the topics? I'll talk about whatever, as you know.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to first check in with you and see how you're doing. Like, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing really good. The co-streams are obviously pretty sick. The casting's really sick, and then just the off season's a little bit of a lull so far, but I think
Yeah, it's to be
everything's
expected.
yeah. So we have like 6 weeks off or like 7 weeks off, which is it feels long only because I think everything was so intense because of Corona.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think that's pretty much it. But I think I'm a lot more involved right now in the Western scene than I've ever been before. Um, which is kind of, I mean, maybe that's good for this kind of a talk.
How
Yeah,
does that make you feel? How does the Western scene make you feel?
dude, I feel fucking as like I feel almost defeated in some ways. Like there's so many fucking problems that just can't get fixed. And then it feels like the people that are maybe able to fix the problems don't even think that the problems exist. Or that
Mm.
they don't realize the severity of it. And I think that makes me want to bash my head against a wall pretty often. And I'm very vocal about it on my stream. But it really sucks. And now, obviously, there's a lot of conversations that are happening in the community now, right? Like VoyBoy made that video, um, but there's also been other videos and topics that like Dominate and myself have been sort of the driving forces behind. Like I think one of the things I was supposed to do, I was supposed to talk to Jat. I don't know if that's still going to be happening because he joined TL, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But the whole thing like surrounding me, where it seems like anything that I talk about gets a lot of traction now. Like obviously the Morello Leandri's argument.
Mhm.
Did you follow that whole thing?
Yeah.
So it blew my fucking mind. Why did it take me going on like a fucking campaign or a crusade to get analysts or strategic coaches to apparently look at these items? Because I mean that should be their job. Why am I having to campaign and fucking talk about these things? Why is one person having to try to drive an army against this topic? Or why are there so many things that are just so fucking slow and unmoving? And it feels like when you're busting into like a crack den where you kick down the door and everyone inside is just doing corrupt shit and no one actually wants to work or do anything. And then it's like they want to kill you because you're gonna expose the fucking I don't even know. I think it's very akin to that.
Yeah, I feel like you summed up my entire life while I was
Oh
playing and
Jesus
on this in the scene,
Christ.
and eventually it drove me crazy. Yeah, it's a difficult problem, right? And there's a huge culture difference between North America and, quite frankly, the rest of the world. I think every region has their own like affinity. Like EU seems to be, I'll say seemed a lot because I'm old now, right? So I'll have to use the past tense. But so EU used to be a place where people tried very hard, but also were like an extra level toxic, right? Um, and then in Korea, you had people that tried very hard, and whereas like a middle ground of toxicity. I felt like Korea's toxicity was actually pretty bad. I wouldn't say toxicity is the right answer. They gave up a lot. Um, and then North America is just like no one cares, but like I feel like we're probably like the least toxic region by statistics. So every region has its own problem. The fact of the matter is, we're here for the competitive aspect, and it really sucks when our region, uh, is getting the least competitive practice through SoloQ. So
Yeah, it feels really bad, and I think what you're talking about is really cultural, and I think that it's been seen in many games. So I'm unfamiliar with you prior to League. I knew about you when I first joined League, and even prior to joining League, right? So I don't know totally your history, I guess. But coming from even like StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, seeing what happened in Warcraft 3, seeing what happened in other esports like Dota, even, or Heroes of the Storm, yada yada yada. The same cultural consistencies kept up, basically the same exact way. Europe was always a little bit more toxic, but also simultaneously way more open-minded to everything and more receptive to things. Korea was a lot more try-hard, but much more defeatist. Um, and then they could their toxicity is all centered at the game itself or self-deprecating, or at least that's what my experiences of it has been. Whereas if you can
a lot
really
of
tell
internal.
someone what the fuck they're doing wrong, like legitimately, they'll just accept it. Doesn't matter in what manner you try to flame them in, they'll just be accepting of it. Whereas in North America, feels like a lot of people cry safe space, which was a problem, right? In season like 4 or 5, right? The Riot Light stuff, where that toxicity thing got spearheaded, and that was really weird, and everyone flipped out about it. But North America, as a server, even dating back into my memories in StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, it's just the weirdest thing in the world because it's the most. I call it Care Bear Land, where you can just have anything exist there, and it's apparently okay. And that obviously just sucks. But even when in-houses get started, or people try to organize them, they're not taken seriously. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny hearing you because you remind me of myself, or save me. You remind me of myself
Yeah.
um, when I used to play competitively and I used to think about these things. The reason I wasn't as vocal about them is mainly because I'm a team owner and I had a team and I had a lot of teammates that I couldn't let down,
Yeah.
and those factors kind of like castrated me in ways which I couldn't say anything, I couldn't do anything. And the few times that I did say things over the years, it like blew up on Reddit and Twitter, like everything you're doing right now. And it makes me um, excited to have you kind of like on the up and coming, for becoming an authority in the scene. You've put in a lot of effort into actually taking the game very seriously and analytically, when most content creators are just, we're here to have fun. We're going to stream. We're going to turn on the webcam and, play a few games of League. And that's just like the medium that dominated Twitch for so long. So
Yeah.
you doing something a little bit different is really refreshing, and I think that's why you're popping off. So um, yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks. I
Uh,
to be completely honest, I actually didn't think it was possible for an EDU creator to get big. I know I had that talk with
yeah,
many people. I thought it was impossible. Like, I thought there was no way. Unless you would be the type of EDU creator where you could say bullshit and everyone would just accept it because they like you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no regards to accuracy, no, just nothing could matter. You could say
yeah. Just live
complete.
service and
I thought that would be the only way. And I remember stressing over this. I used to talk about it on my stream all the time with my chat, and I used to talk about it on Twitter. I used to talk about it with people behind the scenes. There's a ceiling for EDU content creators because no one just fucking cares. But apparently, with co-streaming and with casting and with everything else, I think not just me. I think Dominate's been having a lot of success with this as well. But there's not people that come to my mind that do this, and whether it be because they can't or because they won't, because it is a lot of fucking flame. It's really, really stressful to always be front page of Reddit. I remember I reached out to Reddit about a month and a half ago asking for a self-imposed content ban because I just couldn't fucking handle the stress anymore. Like, what's it gonna be today?
You know, this conversation is going to kind of suck because I'm just going to be jerking you off the whole time, and you're going to be jerking me off the whole time. Because like in the VoyBoy Reddit thread, I couldn't help myself, but somehow I got the #1 comment after I posted like 3 hours, and it has like 50 medals on it. And it's just going in on Riot. So you know, like I can't help myself either, and I get you. It's super stressful, but the world needs people like us because everything is just boring and unanswered if like we don't exist, right? Like if no one talks about these issues, if no one goes hard, if no one's passionate, if no one really stands in the center of these things, the scene just gets dull. It gets boring, right? And that's why I think people are jumping onto you because you're like someone new that cares, that like has passion in them, even if you're not serving something that like most people like, which is like, you know, game like meme gameplay content and whatever the hell you know these youngins are watching these days. But you know, it's good.
I think there's a growing I think there's a growing, like, I've noticed over the last like year and a half that more and more people seem to want more honesty, and the thing that I was getting at that I was supposed to have like an entire talk show on with Jat was spectacle. And what I mean by spectacle is that I'm a very, very big fan of spectacle, and I've used it my entire career in esports, but it only seems like it's finally picking up in the last like 2 years.
Spectacle. What the
Spectacle.
hell's spectacle?
Literal usage of the word, like a visually, you know, stunning performance or display or something. So when I go on like the tirades, like Leandres versus Morello, or if I go on like why are people building Black Cleaver on set, or can you not really wait the extra minute and a half to get Trinity Force, right? Because sometimes they'd argue, oh, we need it right now, and it's like, well, actually, I just watched this game and you just farmed lanes for 4 minutes. Like, doesn't seem like you needed Black Cleaver for a spike. And I think that like a conversation that I had with Reynad a really long time ago that really stuck is he had a talk with me where he talked about how most people in the industry don't know how to think, or learn how to learn, was I think the sentence that he used, in regards to most people don't know how to instruct others to learn how to learn. They can only know things rather than understand it, and that's a really big problem, because if everyone just only knows stuff, then they don't actually understand it, they can't manipulate it, things can't grow, because eventually once you stop doing something, the people that you taught cannot then go and teach others. So there's a need for people like that, because they don't exist, and people that don't truly understand the material that they're trying to educate on can't do that, because they'll end up just bullshitting. The majority of the time. But I think spectacle is important because without spectacle, you have things that go completely overlooked. Like, for instance, I don't know your relationship with Freak, but Freak's patch rundowns include really, really good math, and they include really good, like, breakpoints for certain things that are interesting. And for people that can actually utilize it or understand what it is that they're looking at, things can be really good there. But apparently it just gets no fucking attention, and I don't know why, and it actually makes me angry. And I always try to like retweet whenever I see it, like in the timeline, like that he posted a new video or some new content, because it's like, this should get exposure, and then it doesn't, because Freak's a really nice guy, and he doesn't. There's no abrasiveness, there's no spectacle surrounding Freak, so it doesn't matter what he's saying. He could be 110% right, and no attention comes from it, and that's fucking sad. That spectacle is apparently a necessity in esports.
Well, you know, it's also I would agree with you to a certain degree. I think also the channels he's trying to put this content out aren't very good for, like, when Freak starts to talk about math in the middle of the game, right? 90% of the people that are watching LCS isn't going to care that like Black Cleaver is like 9% more efficient at 20 minutes versus like Tiamat. Okay, like I'm just making up like a hypothetical situation. They're just going to glance over that, and they want to be hyped up.
Yeah.
And so I think like Freak, he can't have the spectacle because he's working at Riot and he has to like maintain a level of professionalism. So like I completely agree with you there, but I think a lot of what Freak says gets glanced over just because bad avenue. But I think if you brought him onto here, right,
Yeah.
I think it would get a lot more attention. But
Yeah, I agree.
um, oh god, there was something I was thinking about. Oh yeah, about learning. Okay, so learning was very interesting with a lot of the people I've played and coached with, and just like been working with over the past like 9 years. I think the community is split up into two groups of learners. One is like people that learn through experience, which is like just bashing their head against the wall until
Yeah.
like something works, right? And that's what Reynad's kind of like expressing, is that there's too many of those people, and he's like right. Not many people really think and come up with an answer that is outside the box, outside of their field of view. They don't actually just take the time to think in general. Like I think that's a problem that not only like league players have, but just everyone doesn't take the time enough time to think. Um, and I think once the split gets more intense and people start, having to worry about their next performance and they get emotional, it blocks their ability to think even more. And those are some of the features that make Bjergsen, I think, like such an amazing player, is that he's able to like transcend that. So one of the things I've talked to people about is like how someone like Bjergsen thinks about the game and how he trains, and he's just like he's on another level. Like even to this day, like when he has like one tricks that he calls up, and he asks them about the matchup. He asks them about how it should be played. He can visualize based
Right.
on what they're saying. He doesn't have to play 100 games with the champion to be like, okay, I know how to do this.
Yep.
But yeah, like totally agree with you there.
The visualizing thing is interesting, like what you're talking about at the end, because I feel like it's something that pro players struggle with actually a lot. Visualizing something just based on talking or like speaking. It feels like they can't entertain what's going to end up happening, and I think that has actually caused like a lot of the arguments that have come from my stream and then appeared on Reddit. Is like there's the visual displacement, where you then have to like physically go out and show something. But in terms of like what you're talking about, where Bjergsen goes out of his way to look for information, there's very, 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 very few pros that do that. It's actually fucking insane. So anytime those pros, I feel like almost every time you find a pro that's doing that, they're also tending to also simultaneously stand out, most likely, in most cases, because they probably care about the game as more than just herder, it's a video game, I'm playing it and I'm getting a paycheck. And I think that that's a lot nicer, and it's a very rare breed of things. And one of the things I've always been worried about is that if you have someone like that, but they're then put into an environment where there's bad infrastructure, there's bad team network, or they're surrounded by people that maybe don't share the same views, does that person end up like dying, quote unquote? And I think the fact that Bjergsen in North America, for example, has remained as resilient as he has, despite the NA SoloQ, despite the NA scrim environment, despite the coaching staff, like fiascos and everything else, I think that's a testament to not just his ability as a player, but as a person. So I think that just even supersedes LoL to me.
Yeah, yeah. It fundamentally, a lot of the issues that players have comes from internal issues as a human being, like straight up. One of the biggest struggles I had as a player, and I've taken this from my my career, and then moved it to like every aspect of my life, is is how to not be defensive. And that's like one of my triggers these days is when I see people defensive, because it's something I work so hard to get over. It just it drives me up the wall. I've like no patience. I'm getting old. Patience goes with when you get old too. But for example, there's so many times where I'm just like sitting in a room and like players are going through why a play happened, and I'm just like I'm getting hit with deja vu. And I think perpetually that will be the message. It'll be the constant that happens, for the next 10, 20 years, however long I stay in that room. So I think what is really lacking, and I think what Korea has a leg up on, is a lot of people internalize things, right? And they're able to take the information that people are criticizing them on and be able to like look at it and feel bad about it and maybe improve it. Whereas, a lot of North American players either tune it out or shut it down. It's just easier to deal with it emotionally because, they just don't have the cultural background. So I think the biggest way that coaches are going to start improving, and I feel like right now coaching is at its like lowest level comparatively to the rest of the league, in terms of like, individual skill or even their people's ability to like disassemble the game and be like, okay, we should pick this champion here, and drafting. I feel like the weakest point is just like raw coaching ability. Like how much can I actually change this person's mentality? How much can I actually have the team be cohesive and have them think about things in a different way? So that's at least my opinion.
Coaching. So I think I can delve on this a lot. I talked about it in the double lift coach stream. That it's worrying to me when players are actively seeking out other people that's not their own staffs, and they're saying it's because that they can't get help from that staff. I think that's obviously a really big red flag. I think it's been a constant. I'm sure that you know that I've voiced my opinions on the November rule. November 2014, Riot made the rule that every single team needs to have a coach. And then in January, they released the stipend, which then allowed teams to have analysts. Well, where the fuck do these people come from? Because suddenly, all of a sudden, Riot birthed hundreds of positions globally that didn't previously exist. So all of a sudden, Joe and Alex decide that they want to decide to coach in their diamond. Well, you can't even conversate with the professional player about what is actually happening inside of the game. There's a limit to what you can do fundamentally to change the pro player's mind. And even if you do end up shooting 100 bullets and one of them sticks, I mean, to what degree do we argue that that's beneficial? So I think one of the things that ended up happening is the public has a perception of coaches and analysts that is false. That's number one. And I think that a lot of that stems from the fact that they hide behind the fact that they don't need content. And the people that you do see make content, they get readily criticized, as all people do. And then they think that the titled positions somehow equates to something, or that the person is somehow more qualified simply because they have a titled position. The titled position doesn't mean anything. I've said this, a million times, that if I just like someone from Twitch chat and I decide I want that guy to be an assistant coach, and if I was an LCS coach and he just comes into LCS, apparently in 24 hours, this person is bestowed with some magical fucking knowledge because of a title that then somehow means that he's qualified to help professional players at the LCS or LEC or LCK level. No, that's fucking absurd. So if there's no content to go off of, the only thing to measure those people by is objective things. And the thing that I always talk about is like coma, or the analogy that I use is orbit. So how many players or people go into that person's orbit, and what is the level of those players, and how many leave the orbit still saying positive things? And I think if there is a high enough, if there's a high enough amount of people that go into the orbit and then exit it and they're still saying good things, and then they revisit the orbit. There's something there. I think there's a really big problem when that model doesn't exist in most cases. I think that says something. So fucking I completely agree with you. The biggest red flag for me this offseason in LCS, in LEC, in LCK even, was the staff shuffle. What the fuck does the staff shuffle mean? No team has ever had a fucking identity in North America. Just ever. So it's not like we're coming from coaching staffs, right? It's not like it's coming from analyst staffs. So what is the staff shuffle that happened in North America? It doesn't make any fucking sense. I think that was the biggest red flag that happened, where a lot of players were moved around. I think the standings were very surprising, right? Team Liquid ending up where they are, CLG ending up where they did, a lot of the struggles that ended up happening, and then the public having the outcry about coaching staffs and everything else like that. Because there's no industry standard, and no one has any idea what's going on behind the scenes, and everything's conjecture. This was really long, but I'm really passionate about this. This is fucking.
No. I agree with you. It's not an easily solvable problem, and I have a great business idea for you, right? Like, a lot of these people are reaching out to you because, quite honestly, there's not that many people out there as an outlet to be able to reach out to. Like, you probably have people from many different teams reaching out to you, right? And what it takes, I feel like, is, instead of using experience and word of mouth to determine someone's value, I think someone actually needs to go out there and look for new coaches that are passionate and that have the ability to do a lot of this stuff. And what you could do as a business idea is actually find those people, then sell them off to teams, analysts, coaches. You can start your own thing. Go up to TL, be like, "Hey, I found Jap for you before you did. So now you have to give me a 20% cut."
What? All right. So this is where it gets really interesting. So one, there's obviously there's some polarity that surrounds me, like, as a person, right? Because obviously I am abrasive, right? People don't like being called out on certain things or whatever. But I'm not ever going out of my way to personally attack someone. Also, I want to cycle back to the coaching thing. I think the most interesting thing is actually Cloud9. Reaper's the only former pro player where their staff also has several other high-level pro players, right? And Cloud9's the only team that has maintained stability throughout the entire time. I don't know if that's a coincidence. Maybe you have more insight into that, but I also wouldn't want to reveal any, like, inner workings or something. I think that's really interesting.
It's not a coincidence.
Right. So,
a lot of CLG's strength in the past came from our ability to, grow talent and deal with people that had a lot of fundamental weaknesses and then build them up to. It was like Jack's done a very good thing where he's really just focused on infrastructure. He doesn't give a fuck about players, right? He cares about how he's building the training infrastructure. It's not just Reaper, but how he's recruiting his coaches, how he's building the relationship with these coaches to be able to acquire them. Maybe Reaper gets a better offer somewhere else and he stays at C9. Well, we'll have to see whenever his contract expires. Right. Yes. But he's done very good work to just kind of not pay players over $1 million just to carry them for a split. Right. And now it's kind of like paying off for him. So
I think, and another thing about coaching is that I'll tell you one of the not criticisms, but comments that I received very actively behind the scenes in DMs and from colleagues and whatnot, is that my workload in the last 6 months was not normal. A lot of people were telling me it was too much because I played SoloQ, cast LCK, co-streamed LCS, and live viewed LEC. So I was having anywhere from 80 to 110 hour work weeks for months on end, right? However, I've always maintained that I need to do these very serious solo queue grinds in between breaks, or coming off of breaks or whatever. I have to try to climb, I have to try to understand things, or I have to try to play in houses, or I have to do all this other stuff. And I hold myself to that standard, and I just think this is fucking normal. Because if you don't do that, you lose touch with everything. And the second that you start losing touch, you start having, all of a sudden, your cake tastes a little bit worse. And then a little bit worse again, and then a little bit worse again. And then if that keeps trickling down, you're all of a sudden damaging lots of people around you, or you're harming people indirectly, even if you're not doing it intentionally. And I think it's so fucking, it brain blasts me when there are people behind the scenes, whether it be coaches or analysts, that tell me that they only work 6 hours a day. Or they'll watch VODs. And it's like, I don't go on fucking YouTube and watch surgery videos and then pretend to be a surgeon. Like, what does just watching film even mean? That doesn't mean anything. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, that brain blasts me, right? Or when people, when people will try to assert something based on, something that they watched, right? Like maybe a dynamic of a matchup or a dynamic of a team composition, but they haven't seen it play out enough, or they don't have the ability to discern if what happened would likely happen in the majority of cases. Because maybe they don't play the game at a high enough level, or they don't coach the game at a high enough level, fundamentally.
Yeah,
this is long-winded again. All right, sorry. Take it away.
No. I'm letting you vent it out. You keep giving it to me, brother. I completely agree with you on all these points. So I told you we're going to be jerking each other off. It's great. We're having a good time. I think what becomes like, and this is where I sympathize with a little bit how things are. There's so many problems, as you have described. There is so many problems to deal with, right? It's like coaching, analysts, player acquisition, not getting people poached, solo queue, like entitlement, defensiveness, and it's like, what the hell do you focus on, right? And there's just so much to deal with. Everything's fucking on fire, dude. I walk into the room that is North America, and everything's just burning, and I'm just like, oh. And actually, like, what dictates success a lot is being able to identify the thing that needs to be watered down, while letting everything else just get even more engulfed in flames, right? And it's a hard problem, and it's because this industry is still young and people are still learning, and it'll grow over time. But we need passionate individuals like you to put in the work in an area that you feel, right, is going to be the most amount of value, and then start building it up, right?
So,
and I think systemics is like what we really need to prove on.
I think one of the things I've been trying to not raise funding for, but one of the things I've been very vocal about, that one of my end goals is opening up an academy for boot campers, and then for people that actually want to transition into coaching. Because I've had many talks, even with some NA pro players that are like veteran pro players behind the scenes, and LEC players, that I'm a firm believer that the next gen of coaches will be the true strategy coaches, if everything goes according to plan. So I think that we're like 5 to 10 years out from that happening, and I think that League will exist in that state. I want to make an actual academy facility to try to not just teach players League of Legends, teach them how to think, because that's the most important aspect. Because if you learn how to think, you can then leapfrog that onto everything, and you can constantly keep doing that. And I think that that's been one of the things that maybe egotistical of me to say is the strength that I've had leapfrogging from so many different titles and different genres of games, and always getting back to roughly the same area or something. And I think that along the way, I took so many tidbits from all those genres and all those different games that they share and they overlap with each other in strategy. That I think that they have underlying core principles. And I think that it's ridiculous that so many things that I've been trying to harp on about and people can go back in my fucking YouTube videos 6 goddamn years and find the same shit that I'm talking about now is present in those YouTube videos. But apparently it took 6 years and a giant Twitter following and my Twitch exploding and all this other shit for us to finally start talking about it, or for it to drive attention. And that's fucking insane to me. And I think that the problem there lies that the people that would know the difference, or again, discern what is actually being said, don't exist. Because the people in titled positions don't have the wherewithal to know right from wrong. And I think the funniest thing about this, even when it comes to League of Legends coaching, is watch what ends up happening, because I've done this on my stream so many times over the years. Watch what ends up happening when you pull a random, coach or analyst player, and you have them coach a professional player on stream. Like, on what's happening inside of a game. I think that's always the fucking, like, what is going on? Or, like, what is being said? I don't know your experience with it, but yeah, take it away.
There's different pieces there, but I really want to focus on one the most, because personally, I could focus on something like chat wants to talk about more, but like for me, adding value to you is like the most important thing. And this is like kind of sentimental to me a little bit, is like your idea for an academy, and your idea to like have this coaching infrastructure be built up through, collective experience and being able to lead that. It sounds pretty crazy, right? It sounds like to get the business started, to have people buy in, and to get it going. And you're like, why isn't it happening? Like, it would add a lot of value. I think you should just go do it. Like, honestly, if you want to see it in the world, go do it. And I think, like, shit, even hearing that myself, I'd be like, I'm shipping people off left and right. I'm just like, everybody go. Just all of you go. I think you'd find an extreme amount of success, and I want you to have that. So, like, stop talking about it. Go do it.
I've been trying to figure it out. Like, the logistics, where do I create it? Do I do it in Korea? Do I do it in NA? Or do I do it in Europe? I thought about doing it in NA. I was going to make it in Chicago. So I looked into real estate and I looked into all this other stuff. I was going to obviously have a cutoff. Like, you have to be a really high level player. There would be a screening process. I wanted to hire a therapist that was always on site for mental health issues. I wanted to do so many different things. And I wanted to actually make it like a fucking school, because one of the people that's been living with me for 2.5 years, and I've tried to shop him around to teams, and it's not working. Okay? He was a former Challenger player. He's in Korea. He's Master, Grandmaster, whatever. Sometimes he falls into D1. His name's Max, and he used to be a pro player in NA. He's 20. He's been shadowing me for 2.5 fucking years. Actively coaches pro players on his stream. Grandmaster, Challenger, EUS, Challenger NA, plays cross-server 200 ping, beats Academy players in 200 ping. I mean, there's also the Korean Challenger that does the same thing too. Can't get him in a fucking team. And I just want to bash my head against a wall. And then sometimes I talk to him and I want to cry, because it's like, if I don't have the power to put you in a team, you're like a fish out of water. Like, what the fuck? This is so fucked up. And I've tried to get him in to teams. Just to fucking talk to him. And then it's like, I don't know, I just want to cry. I just get emotional, because it's like I'm looking at myself almost, but he's stripped of power. And then he doesn't have the whole spectacle thing going. He doesn't have the whole abrasiveness thing going. He doesn't want to go on Twitter and fucking butt heads with people. He doesn't want to, be mean or fucking all this other shit that I've had to do because I felt like it was the only way to survive. Like, go down swinging. But then, fortunately, I just got fucking forged in fire, so here I am, or here we are, having a lovely conversation.
Yeah. So I'm like a little bit more, well, actually I shouldn't say a little bit more. I'm significantly more detached than I used to be, right? I'm very, very high level in CLG. So tell me a little bit about Max. Does he fundamentally, he understands like game theory and he's very analytical. How much of an actual coaching background does he have?
So when he first came to me, I pulled well, he called me up in a panic one night. His friend basically set him up to talk with me, and he basically told me some stuff that was going on in his life. And I just said, okay, if you come to Korea, you can live with me, you can boot camp here. Because I try to open up my house to boot campers that actually want to come and boot camp, depending on when I have slots available. So I've had, at any given point, 10 people living with me. Because back in my day in StarCraft, when I was like homeless, didn't really have money, I didn't have a lot of help. So I've always wanted to be a bridge for Western players, because right now, when Western players come to boot camp in Korea, they get scammed. The agencies, or like the orgs that charge them, are charging $3,000, $4,000 a month, and it's like, no, fuck that. I'll show you how to beat Korea, $500 a month, all that you need, yada yada yada. Or depending on if I know the person or if they're a friend of a friend, they can stay with me. He came to live with me. He grinded the Korean SoloQ ladder, and then Magic. I was very heavy into Magic the Gathering. I got him into Magic. I said, hey, you don't play Magic, but I think this can be really good for you down the road. If you can start to try to play Magic at a high level, you can try to learn it. So he grinded Magic, really serious with me. Then I tried to get him to play StarCraft and understand like StarCraft strategy and resource management and economy and stuff. And then we would play other games like strategy types of games. Then he would shadow me. So sometimes he would sit in on coaching sessions with LEC and LCS players, or even like pro teams and whatnot, and he would just sit beside me. He wouldn't say anything. And I mean, it's kind of different from a stream, because some of those sessions aren't, well, none of those sessions are streamed. Like the actual private ones where, things get a little bit deeper than anything that you would see on a stream. And I'm not talking about strategies. I mean, the conversations delve deeper to try to really get to the root of the problem. And he would do all of that and sort of just slave away. And then he was with me on BBQ. And then on BBQ, he acted as like a manager / like housekeeper / assistant coach. He's 21.
21.
And he also acted as a scrim partner, because on the Korean team we had 2 to like 3 teams, and we would do internal scrims and everything. And then I would make him play other roles so that he could get more diversification.
So, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
What would you slot him into an org? If you were like a team owner and you were like, okay, I'm going to slot him into X position, like what do you think he's worthy of right now?
Can you elaborate? Like what like, do I think his title position?
Yes. Yeah. What would his title position be?
So this is where title position gets a little bit weird for me, because I don't even know, like head coach, strategy coach, assistant coach, everything. It means different on every team, which is what I've learned along the way. I think that he could actually fundamentally help the pro players play better, or guide them to play better than anyone else that would probably be on the staff. But
so you think like
head of strategy, is that what you call it? I don't even know. He's from the school of learning how to. He would
essentially be like a positional coach or an analyst. It sounds like.
Yeah,
and that sounds fine to me. Like that's where he should be going. If you were to say coach, I'd be like, when we talked about coaching before, to me, coaching is more of like a coaching in the traditional sense. So I feel like he wouldn't be able to do that. It's kind of tough.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like that. I mean, he sounds like a great dude. We can talk more about him. Like off stream, and I'm not sure how much internally like he's been talked about it, but we'll see. Like if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's just an example though of like one of a few people. That I think that they exist, but they can't get anywhere. And I think that's a problem also in itself. I mean,
I think you are on a different level when understanding the intricacies of how a team should be built, when a lot of the teams that recently came when franchising happened, right? Like a lot of your experience is built through a lot of time and being passionate about a specific thing, where a lot of these people just like thrusted into these positions, and they're like, okay, how do I start recruiting for things? And then like a random GM gets hired, and then this guy doesn't even have like his philosophy on how he needs to build a team yet, right? And he's already put in the position where he's like operating a team.
Yeah.
So I don't think like the level of sophistication is there across the board, and it's something that's going to take time, and hopefully you'll be one of the people to start to build it. But you need to figure out like one thing that you want to build rather than like the 40 that you're kind of talking about.
The academy. I gotta figure that out. I do.
You want to talk about SoloQ? I see VoyBoy popping up in the chat a little bit. So
yeah, we can talk about SoloQ.
I don't want to put these guys to sleep.
Okay. What about SoloQ? Or I mean, there's many things. What do you want to dive into first?
Yeah. So I talked a lot about this with a friend, and I was wondering, what do you feel like the more important issue is in North America? Is it the soft inters or is it the hard inters? Like, who do you think has more impact, whether it be in quantity or like a global unhappiness?
I think the hard inters probably stem from the soft inters. Because every time I've ever interacted with a hard enter, or talked to one, or seen it, like on a stream, it's generally because they think that they're being soft-inted.
God, dude, we're gonna literally jerk each other off the whole entire session, aren't we? Like, I'm just like...
Hold on, wait. Let me get another drink. Let me get another drink. Wait, one sec. I gotta BRB. One sec. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on.
Jesus. This is gonna be either the most boring stream or like the most entertaining stream, because like we're just gonna say I agree the whole time. Like I've been kind of like hiding for the past while, but I've been watching people, and like I just, there's a reason I talked to LS after kind of being a troll, like hiding in a cave for a while, and it's mainly because we both agree on a lot. So
okay,
and I like the way he thinks. So
hello,
yo,
all right, I'm back.
Hey, yeah, totally agree there. I don't think that is like all of the amount of hard enters, right? I think there's always going to be people that want to watch the world burn. But generally, I feel like hard enters are people that are like addicted to the game, but just like can't quit it, right? Like they just have so many emotional problems because like whatever negative emotions have consumed them, they just like to take it on a way that makes other people feel bad, and that makes them feel good.
I think a percentage of hard enters is definitely people who correlate their standing within the game with their standing in real life. Because if you're a regular person and you go into League of Legends, and you have a limited amount of time to play League of Legends each day, and League of Legends is supposed to be your escape, but then you're getting stuck in League of Legends, or you're not climbing, and you're not finding success, you also subconsciously acknowledge that there are people that can climb, can find success, and can do what you're not doing, and thus you know that you're failing, even if like nothing consciously is telling you that. And then I think that it ends up degrading their own self-worth, and then that leads to their outward toxicity and outlash as a form to try to regain control. And that's what makes them toxic. Because I don't believe that the game makes people toxic. I think that their toxicity and their real-life stressors and problems manifest itself through the game. Because when someone is soft-inting them, or when someone's playing bad in the game, they're not thinking about, this Leona just missed her EQ, or they're not thinking about this Lee Sin just missed his flash Q or his kick. They're thinking the person playing the Lee Sin just did this to me, and then it starts to become personal. It's detached from the game. They're thinking more about the person's actions than what's actually happening in the gameplay itself, and then they think about what that means to them as like a person-to-person or a human being interaction. And I think that's what leads to the toxicity. They start to take everything personal. I don't know your thoughts. Yeah.
I I had a game. It was like one of the few games before I actually got banned for my first time. I got banned once recently.
Okay.
Um,
Jesus Christ.
and the guy came in, and it was an intense game, and like every time I show up, because I'm like ex-pro player, I'm not like everybody else, right? I get into the game and I have a mission. Okay, my mission is for us to win and be successful. So like from level 1, I'm like, jungler, can you start blue side? Like, I don't think we're gonna win the 2v2. I need you to go here. Like, I'm typing like a storm.
Yeah.
Like the second the game starts, I'm like coordinating, and like some people, it's great, dude. People are like, dude, this was the best game of League of Legends I had. Like, this was awesome. I get like things like that. And then other people are like, this guy's like, you're so fucking annoying, dude. I just got home from work. I don't care about winning or losing. Like, I just don't. And he's like, I just want to get my item. And I'm like, but dude, dragon, like we have to fight for the soul. Like, it's up. It's up, dude. I'm giving you a minute and a half in advance because I know like it takes some time to do shop and base. I'm like, just come. And he's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, like I'm having an aneurysm. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? And it's always been, I feel like, this issue where not everybody's on the same page. Yeah. And I'm sure like internally Riot is not on the same page. Is ranked actually supposed to be a place where you improve and you show your competitive spirit? Or is it a place where instead of normals, you have normals plus, and you log in and you kind of like mindlessly do your thing? And it's just like whatever. And I think like ranked has always meant two different things to people. Yeah. And I can't figure it out. And I don't know if you have any feedback on that, or like what your thinking is.
So it's kind of weird because in Korea they actually have that discernment, and it's actually pretty strict, or at least that's what my experiences have been on the perception of it. That people that play ranked are actually actively trying, and if you do want to just mess around, goof off, etc., you go into normals. It's always been so weird to me when I've had people in my stream tell me it's just a game, or they tell me that rank doesn't matter, or they tell me that they don't like to play normals because no one tries in normals. And then it's sort of like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, if they're complaining that someone is like smurfing in ranked, or they're trying something different in ranked, and I'm like, are you listening to yourself? Like, what are you saying? I've always had the same reaction to you when someone tells me that it's sort of like normals plus, like they just or this is the worst one. I'm just playing to get my rewards. And it's like, oh my fucking god. What the fuck?
What's interesting is I've had so many throughout the years, the sample size is very small of the conversations I can have with people, because it's only a small period of time. But at the end of the season, lately I think boosting and all this shit has gone out of control. But like in previous seasons, near the end of the season, everybody's like, SoloQ is fucking amazing. Right? It's so good. Like people are fighting for challenger and like this and that, and like it's always been a mad dash at the end where like people's hearts are broken.
Yes.
And like it's just it's an accumulation of the seasons, like a finals. But until then, it's like we have a bunch of spring splits that don't matter, right? Like that's basically like until then, no one gives a fuck. Because they're just like, well, I can just climb near the end, and that's all, right? Yeah. And it's weird culturally. Like if I were Riot and I were thinking about this, right? Yeah. NA has this problem, Korea doesn't. Well, it's their fault. That's what I think the breakdown of this problem is, and I've been around this issue for like 8 or 9 years now, and I know it's not going to fix based on our collective like willpower, right? Yeah. Like you can look at the shit that's happening in NA right now, like with with uh with things that make you lose faith in humanity, right? Like we're not just going to magically come together as a community and just like ascend this problem. So it's like how do we solve it? How do we fix it?
So my idea was, did you follow StarCraft 1 at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Back to my previous
Yeah,
experience.
go,
I
go,
played
go.
Warcraft 3 competitively, and I watched a lot of StarCraft.
Okay.
Warcraft 3, I made it to front page of the US East ladder.
Okay.
And so like I love Warcraft 3. I played it like not too long ago after like dusting off my inexperienced self, and I was able to get like I think it was top 100 or somewhere around there. So with like an 80% win rate. So I still got it. I still got it.
Okay. So StarCraft 1, it had the private servers. It had IC Cup, it had PG Tour, and then on Korea there was Fish, there was Game Eye, etc. I think that the problem of NA solo queue, I don't know if Riot. So if we look at Korea and Korea not having the issue, I don't know if that's like a Riot thing, because even in StarCraft and I think Warcraft and other games that I've watched, the culture is ultimately the issue. And I don't think there's a way for Riot to fix the culture. What I think would be most important is them to acknowledge that the culture exists and then try to create a subsect of the ladder, like a private server, that players can get into. And the private server is a threshold for a certain, also a moderated one. So on IC Cup, there was moderators. So at any given point, there was hundreds of games going on at any given time. But apparently, a moderation staff that was online was always able to handle reports and abuse and anything else that was going on inside of the ladder. You could get into the ladder and then just easily be removed if it's a private server or private ladder. And if that's the only thing that exists, even if you only have the top 1,000, top 2,000 players actively playing it, they're still probably actively getting games. Including like scrim time and whatever else. Maybe the ladder or the server, the private whatever, could be open only for 16 hours a day or something. Maybe there's an 8-hour down period. That way Riot could coordinate with teams or something so that it has usage. I think another problem with SoloQ is that players only want a one trick. Or not one trick, they want a one roll. And I think that's another fucking problem that Korea maybe never has had. Where NA pros, NA Academy players, NA just SoloQ players, they only want to play their role, and I think that's really bad and detrimental. Whereas I think if there was a super private ladder in North America, located on top of the LCS teams, so in California, the server, that would be really healthy. You have 2,000 players, you have it moderated, you have it monitored, so that you only have people that are actually taking it serious. And if someone's actually soft inting, it's going to be really easy to tell if they're soft inting and just boot them.
So I'm going to give you the Riot perspective, right? This
Sure.
is where you need to, at least when you create a solution for this, you need to think of it in a way that will impact like people on a larger scale. Because at the end of the day, Riot's like, okay, I don't know what legal or NA SoloQ's player base is, right?
Yep.
But it's probably like 8% of the global player base, right? 9% of the global player base. So you have 8% of the global player base, and then you want to do something for like the top 1% of that player base, which is like going to turn into like a obscenely small number, right? Like
yes.
1,000, 2,000, whatever you want to make it.
Yeah.
And you want to put in all this effort to treat them special. Like that is something that like will not work for Riot in any way, shape, or form, right? They're never going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Ever are they ever going to do that? So it's like, how do we come up with a solution to impact a lot more people because that's like the Riot special. They have to
Right.
give everybody everything, right? Like I had Snow Bunny in Italy back in the day because it was like a limited edition skin. It wasn't coming back for a long, long time, and all of a sudden they're just like, you know what? Everybody gets Snow Bunny in Italy, dude. You know what? You're not fucking special anymore. And then like there was this guy in the thread, the VoyBoy thread, that was like, there was this like Santa Baron icon where like you had to do something to get it. It was like a unique thing, and then all of a sudden everybody has to get it because people get pissed that like everybody has to have everything. So like along the lines of that, I thought about a system. I don't know if you saw my post. Did you see my post by any chance?
No, the thread was so big.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially in like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars, I'm pitching my system to you, okay?
Yeah.
In World of Warcraft Guild Wars, there was two mechanisms I liked. In World of Warcraft, you had a rating, and that rating gave you rewards at the end of the week, right? And it was like a currency, right? And you build up your currency, and then you're able to purchase something that is unique to you.
Yeah.
And based on how high your rating was, you got better rewards. Okay.
Okay.
You got more points accumulated at the end of the split. So what I wanted for the longest time, I think this is like the NA way. It's like full on capitalism. Okay. You gotta give people a carrot on the stick, right? Like they have to literally, this is like how our culture works. Okay. You have to give us a carrot. You can't punish us. We don't care. We're going to just buy more accounts. You can't stop us. We're going to soften our games. We're going to get back at you. We're going to get back at our teammates. Like we're going to destroy everything. We're going to rage. We're going to rampage until we feel better. Okay. So like you have to give us something. And that carrot on the stick is like what I kind of wanted. And so 7 years ago, literally it was like 7 years ago to this day, I came up with this plan. And Riot didn't have even like in the pipelines the things where you like press a button and then like an emote comes over your head, right? And I was like, wow, what if you like took a thing from Guild Wars, which was like you could spend your currency on like something that'll pop over your head, or like your character will do an emote where like this challenger icon will pop out, or back then it was the diamond icon.
Yeah.
And let's like give us some sort of like give us some sort of thing that we can show off with, right? Like we're totally about showing off here, so let's fucking do it. And they ended up giving it to everybody. You could buy them now. Emotes. You can. Like everything. Everybody has to have everything, but there's no like skill-based incentives in this game right now. The most skill-based incentives get taken away, right? Before you'd be like top of the pick order if you were number one. Don't want that. Let's just get that the fuck out of there. Korea, on the other hand, was like Riot NA. That's one of the only things I've seen where Korea was just like, go fuck off. You're not having that change in our server.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, how do you like that? Do you think that will actually move the boat a little bit?
All right, so I never want to say something is like 100% because I think a lot of things are gray. I think that even if they had that stuff, it's cosmetic, and that players who are still super serious, I don't think they care about cosmetics. So I think that we're hitting.
Well, let me sell it to you in a different way.
Okay.
I remember when this is like true to God honest.
Okay.
When I was like 7 years ago, when I was thinking about this stuff, I was a thirsty young boy. Okay. And you wouldn't catch me in a normal game ever. Never. I think I've played like a total of like 40 normal games over the course of like 10 years that I played this game.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've probably spent, I calculated it out, over 3 years of my life in the Rift. That doesn't include sleeping, just like straight up time.
Yeah. Okay.
So young me would go into a normal game. This is what I was envisioning, and I'd flex my icon, dude. I'd flex my icon, and that would have been something that I would have just been like, let's go, baby. We got to try. We got to try. We got to go in there. We got to flex. Okay. And that's what it was in World of Warcraft, dude. You go in you sit in Orgrimmar and you just have your shoulders on. You're just like, look at me, dude. You just sit in the middle and everybody's just walking past. I was walking past. I was like looking at that guy and I was like, God damn, dude. He's so fucking cool. And that's like, I feel like that's enough, dude. Maybe not in that way, but like having pride over something you earned, I think matters a lot to people. It just has to be cool enough. Right? It has to be cool enough.
Yes, it would have to. Well, I think exclusivity is one of the most important things too. The only reason that I'm wary of like a cosmetic bonus is because players get paid 6 figures and sometimes 7 figures and still don't try. So why is a cosmetic ladder bonus?
Okay, so the thing is, I think the problem with a lot of North American talent is that I think they're tired. I feel like a lot of
like burned out
pro talent, yeah, they're burnt out. They've given up, right? Whereas I feel like a lot of like ranked players are on a different level, right? Like everybody has like their different subset of emotions, but I feel like a lot of these, like at least I was tired. I'm like definitely what's the word when you bring your own experience onto something and then what word am I?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the projecting.
Okay, oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I'm definitely projecting a lot of like my experiences, and this is where it's very difficult to solve this problem, is because everybody just projects things. Like VoyBoy is technically projecting something, you're projecting something, I'm projecting something, Chad is projecting something.
Yeah.
And it's like who has the right opinion here?
Yeah.
But like I remember getting excited over having a day of scrims, and I'm like, oh, I want to go try this out in SoloQ.
Yeah.
And I log on, and like, we just have my friend Dan over here, and Dan's like worked his 9 to 5. He comes home. He just watched like Morello's Shaco 1000 AP one shot, and he doesn't care about winning the game. He just cares about getting his item. And it's just like so defeating when you're on the level of, I do this for a living, I want to pop off, and then you have Dan come in and he's just like drooling all over the keyboard, right?
Yeah. What would you think about that? So actually, this just popped into my head, and I didn't even realize it. I think the addition of Master, Grandmaster, and Opening Challenger up to 300, I think that was actually maybe a big part of the problem. Because, so from my memory, I came into League in Season 4, but Challenger used to be a really hyped thing when it was top 50. Right? It was top 50, correct?
Top 50 was disgusting. So hard
right.
to get into.
And it was really hard, and it was fought over. So I feel like that's exclusivity, but when they dialed it to 200 and then 300, right, and now Grandmaster's 1,000, it's like everyone fucking gets an ice cream cone. Like, but also the fact that there is so much difference between the 900th Grandmaster and the 400th, right? Generally, in terms of skill, there is actually just fucking tiers between them.
Even an ELO difference, like
yes. So
it's a huge.
Why don't they just dial it back again, or just make another tier that's more exclusive, like above Challenger?
Fuck.
And then give rewards to that tier.
I don't know how much that would feel good, but this is the problem with doing too many bad mistakes. Is like I feel like you can't take away for me. I just want things to go back the way they were. Right, like I want them to like just make it more exclusive, but you can't take away things from people, because if you take away things from people, they just get fucking butthurt, right?
Yes.
So
I mean, they could just add a new tier, right? Top 50.
They could.
Legend
they
tier.
Could. I don't know if that's systemically enough either. personally.
Fucking
And
sucks.
also, I don't really care about just the top of the ladder. I care about like my washed up ass like plays every once in a while. Like I'll come
Yeah.
back every year and I'll start playing. And I'll be
But
like,
don't you
okay,
get to master consistently? At least?
no, it
No?
depends what I play. Funnily enough,
Okay, but you can get to master.
if I
Okay,
play meta shit.
so just to circle way back, okay? Why can
Mhm.
you take such massive breaks, come back to the game, and hit a tier that most staffs can't hit?
Because I have way more time invested in the game. I've literally it's like riding a bike at this. I literally almost hit master with Ash top. Like it is one game off hitting master from Ash top. I played against like challenger players. Like I beat Hashinshin in lane with Ash top, and he was Aatrox. Pre nerf Aatrox.
So like
I
right. So I think that's kind of insane, right? And I think that goes back to like the learning how to learn. Because when you come back to the game, you're doing stuff with intent, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, like this is what I need to be doing. This is what's important. Everything else is irrelevant. Like at the end of the day, the core fundamentals remain the same no matter how many years pass. And every time you come off of a massive break, this happens with all pro players that were usually once elite in their field. They come back and they know what's necessary to get right back up. And they just do it. That's what needs to be taught, not the fucking all the shit in between, not the fucking overgrown, you know, like whatnot, because that's the most important, and then refining upon that over and over and over and over, and that's how you then start moving up the tiers. Or at least that's my experience from all the games I've ever played, is that core fundamental skill set is the most crucial.
But that comes from like a base human need or feeling to want to put an effort. And I feel like when people aren't putting effort, so it's like, how do you increase that?
How do you instill that in others? Yeah,
yeah,
that's
how
part
do
of
you instill that?
that's part of the job. Yeah,
and like when I think about that, how am I going to get like people to be like a core level of more enthusiasts? Fuck, I can't say it. Show core level of enthusiasm will, making another tier really do that for someone that's in like platinum? I don't think so.
no,
and so it's like,
yeah,
probably won't. And I think like systemically, like even in platinum in Korea, like plat 1, plat 5, people are still trying. It's still serious.
That's true. Yeah,
it's still serious. So
I really think it's a cultural, because also I don't know your take on this, but speaking from NA and EU pros over the years, and then even watching it myself with all the thousands of hours of coaching that I've done over the years, EUS SoloQ seems to, just like in StarCraft 1 and 2, slowly separated itself from North America in terms of skill at like certain tiers. But at the very beginning, I don't think it's always like that. The same way that typically actually Korea is actually the worst, usually at the start of every game, which is really surprising. And then Korea ends up coming in later and sort of taking over because they're very akin to a machine.
Dude, you know what's really weird? Okay, systemically, I would say passion across the board and NA players right now are like 1/6 of what the passion of players used to be. And that's not like me sitting on a rocking chair being like, like back in my day, we were fucking like people. Like I could just think and feel like Ocelot literally like fucking. Other than Reckless, right? Like we had people like Ocelot. We had like 50 Ocelots that were just like on stage, like crying, like fucking just freaking out when they lost. Like it's just the end of the world.
Yeah.
And like even in North America, we were all like that. We were just like,
and it's
ready to beat each other up. Like there
Dude.
were like fist fights back then behind the scenes. These days, it's just like, I don't know.
When people take it that serious now, it's like frowned upon. Or it's like fucking, like, I get it all the time on my stream, or I get it, so mostly I interact the most with EU players. There are some NA players that reach out to me or that I talk to, but I think it's so fucking weird when I will very often get the notion that I'm taking it too serious, or that I'm spending too much time on a topic, or I'm way too tense or fucking jacked up about a certain argument or a certain like fundamental or strategy thing, and it's like, why the fuck aren't you? Like, why am I the outlier here? Like, when we're supposed to be trying to elevate and grow things, like, it's so weird. So like, coming back to like the kicking open the crack den thing, it's like, you get called in by a guy that wants you to clean house. You go to this like fucking this really rundown looking house, and you kick open the door, and everyone inside isn't working, but they're supposed to be working. And then you're trying to tell them like, you should be doing this, this, and this, and this, and this, and I can show you that you should be doing this, this, and this, and this, and they just want to kill you instead. They don't actually want to get better. They just want to kill you, and that's what I'm fucking dealing with right now, and it's really scary.
It's not scary. Just it's depressing, and it feels well for me at least. It's depressing, and it feels bad because like just even like VoyBoy comes out, and I know VoyBoy. He's such a good dude, okay, and he tries really hard to be on Riot's side for everything. It drives me fucking crazy, dude. VoyBoy is like holding up a Riot sign, being like, "Woo! Riot games," and I'm just like tearing those signs down. I'm like, oh. And then like for once, VoyBoy puts down his fucking sign, and like I know him as a person. Puts down his sign, and I'm like, dude, we're fucking doomed. Like something's going down. Something's going down. Okay, like I've already given up on this shit, but like VoyBoy's putting his flag down. Holy moly! So yeah, God, dude, this is it's such a huge problem, and it feels awful to get targeted because you care, and
did you see the recent interaction?
Did you see the
what?
Did you see the hit video they tried to do on VoyBoy? Because like, this will resonate with you. I have like ADD off the roof. Okay, so I'll give you my thought before I forget it, because I forget like 90% of my thoughts when we're talking. In the video, they posted a clip of like Voy kind of like dying over and over to try to like minimize Voy's position by like showing that like Voy is a human and he makes mistakes too, but like they're trying to like silence him because of this like hit video. Did you see that?
I didn't see the hit video. No, what was it?
Essentially, it was like the clips of Tyler 1 inting, and VoyBoy like looks like VoyBoy is inting, and they made this video to like try to silence VoyBoy, to be like, look, like this guy shouldn't have an opinion because he makes mistakes. And the funniest thing was VoyBoy didn't actually make a mistake. His reason was like perfectly valid.
Yeah.
But they like literally tried to cancel him.
Yes. No, that's scary. It's real. Like,
great.
So I know you said it's not scary to you. I think it's scary for like me and VoyBoy because we're the ones that are being hit by these people. Like I went on the Healthy Gamer guy. You know who that is on Twitch? Yeah. Fantastic fucking guy.
Love him.
Guy is awesome. I went on his show and I talked about how the first thing I do every morning is like I just check my phone, and I dread it. The first thing I do is I scroll down and I'm like, did anyone come at me on Twitter today? And then the next thing I do is in my front page Reddit. Like, and I'm just oh, your cam's all blurry, by the way. Blurred out. I don't know how to. Did it fix? Okay, it fixed. I am so paranoid and in a constant state of stress because it's like I feel like did you see what happened between Amazing and I recently?
No, what happened?
Holy fucking shit.
Me like the TLDR.
Okay. He made an assertion about how you have to permagank as a jungler. And I just said that that's fundamentally flawed logic, and that there's people that clearly don't just permagank as a jungler, and it's actually suboptimal to permagank as a jungler because rubber banding was removed. And because rubber banding is removed, XP sticks hard now. And because XP sticks hard now, and because there's an acceleration now put into the game as a mechanic by Riot that hitting, level 9 on camps then increases your XP gain. It actually makes sense to be a power farmer. And then I said to him that in instances where you find a permaganking jungler be successful, the fault is actually on the laners, not on the enemy team jungler. And he basically said this is incorrect and blah, 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 blah. And so I gave him players that play power farming and are consistently above the laners in levels, and they path relative to the lane states. And I basically kept trying to reiterate that it's a problem with the laners not manipulating their lanes right, and yada, yada, yada. And that they could have they could have played in ways to avoid the permagank style. And that if the jungler tried to permagank and played like this, and the laners played correct, and the other jungler power farmed, they would just be removed from the game. So he kept giving me the spiel, and I kept asking him for examples. I said, give me any game, I'll go through a pro view with you, and I will show you the laners fucking up.
Topic.
He just wouldn't give it to me. So eventually, it got to a point where I was like, do you know what science is like? Because I basically tried to assert that if something can happen once, you then have to research it more and more to understand, is it a fluke? Or is there something there? And I think that is what eventually elevates strategical growth. Like, for instance, freezing isn't being done yet in pro play. It's starting. It's not only starting in like pro play, but it's starting in SoloQ too, which is really interesting because I got a metric fuck ton of flame about saying that pro teams should freeze and trying to demonstrate how. But it's coming, and of course I won't get credit for it. But whatever. Amazing was just fucking shooting the most flat earth doctrine I've ever fucking seen. And it was
because he's too close to it, dude. He's just so emotional about it. So, like, he's so frustrated with the state of things that he can't look at it cohesively. And he's just like, this is why coaches are like coaches that can, like, maybe we just need more coaches, like, to just like mentally take care of like every player individually. But
all right, so basically what ended up happening is I kept asking him, do you understand how science works? Where you take a test or you take a hypothesis and then you test it. I'm telling you that the junglers finding success with permaganks is not because the jungling style is correct, it's the laners being bad. And he just wouldn't give me any fucking examples. Offered it time and time again, right? Eventually he got a little bit fed up with me because other pro junglers joined in on the conversation. So if you can go on Twitter, just go to my tweets, or here I'll link you because it doesn't do it justice to.
I'm getting a bunch of I see a bunch of spam. Is this what he said?
Yo, it's good. It's fucking.
Man, LS, get over it. The reason you have any support for your arguments generally is because you create an indoctrinated social media harm on your Twitch channel. I can't read it because it's like going so fast, but
here,
I get it.
Let me link you. So I was just blown away that this was like a statement that was said to me.
Because I feel like amazing is like, just by this, I can tell you he has a huge amount of personal ego and just like defensiveness where he just can't like.
It was just so fucking weird. Why? No. So this has been something I've encountered many times.
Being wrong. As a human being,
yes, you should
love being wrong.
Right. So I find it so fucking strange that every time I get into these Twitter battles and I ask to be shown where there's error, or to ask someone to go through a VOD or a fucking game, no one ever wants to. They just want to fucking... I don't even know. So basically what I was trying to tell him is that everything that he's saying is observed. It's not analyzed. There's a difference between observation and actual analysis. And when all that you want to do is observe things and then state them to be correct, well, that's how fucking Flat Earth started.
I mean,
like,
I don't think amazing is that out of it. Okay, I don't think he's that dumb. Okay, like, even at a base level, everything and anything in this game can have like a correct usage in the right scenario. Right? Like, there's no, you should always power farm. You can't say that.
Right, it's not black and white. It's always gray.
Even in a meta where power farming is encouraged like 500 times over, there's always going to be an instance where you have to do something else.
Yes.
And and just on that premise alone, he should know he's wrong. But I think he's just like, he was too emotionally in it with you. He was too emotionally in it himself that he wasn't able to like overlook these things to be like, oh, I'm going to listen to someone.
Yeah, I think that's. But I guess my conclusion on that is like, why are people so opposed to actually going into a topic like this? Why does no one actually want to look at a VOD? Because I feel like it's very easy.
They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to. They're literally defensiveness. I told you, it's like the number one thing that I see in humans that trigger me 100% is like the one thing that's helped me the most as a human being is learning how to just be like, sure, you're right, or even appealing to them a little bit and just being like, yeah. It's so funny when I get into arguments with people and so many people are heated. Like even if I don't think they're right, I'll just admit like, yeah, sure, dude, you're right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're just like,
yeah.
They can't do it. They're just like malfunctioning. It's because they're not used to that behavior. Just like if there's anything you can do, chat, to become a better League of Legends player or like even a better human being, just accept criticism. Just like don't be defensive. It's fucking amazing. It'll change your life.
I think NA would rather be ruined by. So this is a quote that I used years ago, but NA would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
but the thing is, that's what makes you successful. Is that you are fighting against this wave of what should we call it? Kind of like passiveness, non-acceptance, complacency.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're fighting against this wave of complacency, and no one else wants to do it because it sucks. It really does suck.
It does. It's really bad.
But you are being rewarded, and as you keep fighting against anti-intellectualism and I already forgot the word we used. My ADD is kicking off like left and right. Complacency.
Yeah.
You will continue to be successful. And I have made a mistake. And there was one time where I like talked to Mark Merrill. This was like I was in a bad place, couldn't figure it out, and I pulled out like one of my cards that I'm like, fuck it, I don't know who to talk to. I'm just going to talk to Mark. And I was like, essentially in that meeting, I was like, Mark, I don't feel like I'm special. I feel like everybody's against me. Like, how do I do this? And he just reassured me that like I was special. I had something, and like that kind of stuck with me. And I didn't really like realize it. And eventually, I kind of gave into this wave of complacency, in terms of like. I wasn't the one being complacent, but I got shut up. I literally got canceled, right? To a certain degree.
Yeah.
And just like, don't let that happen to yourself. Like, don't. It's really that makes you special. It makes like people want to have that.
I have. This is totally serious, by the way. And there's several players that could, state that it's true. I've really considered quitting after Worlds. Because my stress levels and my outlook on everything is so depressing, and it feels really weird that people have a lot of very bad views of me that stem from stream clips, or they stem from the fact that I'm so passionate, and they're afraid of the passion because they think that either I'm wrong or they think that I'm misunderstanding something, and if I just saw it the way they did, I wouldn't be as mad. And it's like, Jesus Christ, we're all gonna fucking die. And
I'm gonna give you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so I just feel really. Sometimes after streams, I spend a lot of time talking to like some players that I'm like really close with, or like other colleagues in the industry, and I'm just like, I just can't keep doing the stress, because it's not healthy, and I feel like. Right now, there's definitely a needle moving, but I'm also always afraid when I wake up. Like, is there something here? Is something? Am I gonna like? Are there people actively trying to cancel me? And then I could tell you some more stuff in private that's worrying. And it's like, why am I the asshole for trying to, like, I'm a very firm believer in the quote, if you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. That's sort of been like everything that I've lived by in esports. And now here we are, right? Where I feel like I got here. And it's just like, it's scary for me because I don't know what more I can really do. Like, the academy thing is something I really do want to start. I want to do that. But it's also really problematic when there's people that have positions or views on me as a person that have never personally interacted with me, and they form these conclusions based on word of mouth through the grapevine, or on isolated stream clips after I've been streaming for 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day, or they don't understand like what's going into it. And I think that is just fucking brain blasting. Or they're afraid of like my past. I'm not sure how much you know about it, but like, obviously I had a lot of struggles in esports. I was like homeless several times. I was homeless 6 years ago. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this is like where, like, I'm gonna give you the one thing, because I have experience here. Okay,
Yeah.
like personally, there's shit that had this happen to me, and like being the center of attention of a lot of this stuff. There's a reason I kind of went reclusive, and like I've experienced like different approaches to like what you're dealing with right now. And I'll have to say, the number one thing that would have helped me the most is to really believe in myself and to really believe in what I was doing and not care about the result of what I was doing. It's to just really focus on that, because I was very result oriented, right? It's like,
Yep.
I say something that I really believe in, I'm going on Reddit and I'm looking it up. What did people say about this?
Yeah.
Right? And that's not what it should have been about. And like, there was a time, and people can obviously figure this out to this day. Like, I never like resolved it. I never talked about it. I kind of just let it blow over. But essentially, there was a period in time where I was 100% truthful. I didn't do anything wrong. I was above board. I had people be honest with me and tell me they were going to do something, and they ended up not doing it. And then the narrative became completely untrue, and I got fucking destroyed. Like hundreds of thousands of people sending me like everything you could possibly imagine. And like having to live in that narrative where people believe that I'm someone that I'm not. Like, holy motherfucker, dude. That shit, like,
Yeah.
I lost so much faith in humanity on that day. And like, part of it was my fault, right? Like, obviously it's always gonna, like, in the future, part of it's gonna be your fault too. But like, what you have going on now is good. It's special, it's needed, and people will appreciate you. But there's always going to be resistance no matter what you do. And so you have to kind of like live with that resistance. You have to live and know it's a part of the job, and be okay with it. And like, I think once you find that answer, like, you will have like infinitely more inner peace. You'll be infinitely more successful, and you'll be infinitely happier in your life. So yeah, I think what you're doing is good. Keep on doing it. Like, the only reason I came on this show was because, like, I could have reached out to anyone. I haven't said anything in God knows how long, but I came to you because like, I saw something in you, right? I saw that you were you were fighting the good fight. So I didn't have like I didn't have an agenda here. I just wanted to come here and talk to you legitimately. And then maybe like, talk about the VoyBoy shit, because that's like whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it gets hard, man. It gets hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, dude.
What is your take on when people in the industry like, so for instance, some of the topics that we've touched on today, some people might feel personally offended, even when my intention isn't to personally offend them or to say that they're doing something bad. I'm saying like, we could be better. But I think it comes off in a way that people think I'm attacking rather than trying to lift up Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
no. And I'll tell you, there's two things here. One is a psychiatrist, psychologist will probably tell you like your form of communication needs to be better
yeah,
here. This is like the best way to get to people, like blah blah blah, X Y Z. You can try if you're the best. If you're the type of person that can mount these walls and you can overcome these challenges to like improve yourself as a person to be able to communicate with people that way. I think if you're the type of person that can do it, try. If you're not the type of person that can do it, then continue to be yourself, right?
yeah,
Like doesn't matter. Like don't silence yourself. Don't castrate yourself
yeah,
because you're always worried about other people, right? Like again, that response is already dictating of like your thought process where you're like, how do I get people to know this is how I feel? The answer is unless you really improve your ability to communicate, you're never going to get there. And that's the reality of things. You're going to always be the bad guy to some people. And some people are always going to come after you.
yeah,
That's just the reality of it. But that's what makes you special and that's what makes you successful. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Fuck, man. Genuinely just want to
Yeah.
hope. I hope
Yeah. Me too, dude.
this.
Me too. Like I'm sure I'm gonna get a bunch of riot PMs after this or something, being like, "Dude, you own a team in the league. What the fuck you doing? Shitting on us and shitting on SoloQ and complaining about like how we haven't improved it in 8 years. Like, fuck it, dude. I'm getting too old, right? Like, I'm like, I got gray hairs in my beard now. I'm about to hit 30. Then I'll be 40. Like, when am I gonna give it up? When am I gonna stop caring? When I'm 50 and I'm like on my death, like, sorry, so when I'm 70 on my deathbed, is that when I'm gonna hang in the towel and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about what other people think now. It's just like, okay, it was.
I'm pretty.
mispronouncing. I
Yeah.
missay things all the time. Fuck off with the 50 deathbed thing.
Shit.
I'm not the type of person that has like. I know I try to improve myself as a human being. Like I try to get better as a human being, but ultimately, I know I'm not the person that's going to be able to like make great strides in my communication. But that shouldn't stop me from being me.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's fundamentally what like everybody in my life had been telling me, but like I couldn't get over, right?
What do you think? Because I'm sure that you dealt with this a lot in your day, but it's a topic that I've had many conversations about. What do you think is the response when a lot of discourse is created over certain topics? And what I mean by that is when two people, like person A and person B, are both asserting something to be correct,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no way for anyone to trying to think here. I feel like the easy solution is that if something is demonstrably correct, then you would demonstrate it, right? But what do you do for the industry and the league and teams when something isn't able to be demonstrated because both sides refuse, or not both sides, one side refuses, and you get locked into something that is ultimately toxic? So like the wave refuses to just ever crash into you. Do you know what I mean? Like they always
Yeah,
just skirt around you, and they try
yeah.
to take the ground out from under you rather than actually fight it head on. That's really scary, and I think that's something I've spent a lot of time thinking about in this industry, because I know a lot of people, like I said, I'm completely aware I'm divisive, and I'm completely aware that I'm polarizing, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
it is for misunderstood reasons. Because people can see me get abrasive, they can see me get passionate, they can see me get heated on stream and whatnot, and they walk away from that with very false interpretations of how I am. But I think that like my actions, and I shouldn't have to say this, but I think my actions over the years with helping out like boot campers open DMs. Anyone can reach out to me, talk to me. You know, it doesn't fucking matter what walk of life you come from. It's really scary to me when, like what we were talking about 20 minutes ago, I'm looking over my shoulder because I'm trying to fight that fight, and it feels like I'm not going to get a fair fight. I'm going to get the rug pulled out from under me. And I don't know what to do, not just me, but people like me, or people that are trying to talk about the same things. What do you think is even the correct answer there? Because that's just scary.
Sorry, I'm misunderstanding a little bit. Can you like clarify like one thing? My brain is like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
one
sure.
track. Like yeah.
What so let's say that person A asserts one thing to be a problem and that it should be fixed,
Mhm.
and that person B asserts it not to be a problem and it needs not be fixed.
Got it.
And what happens when person B, C, D, E, etc. all refuse to engage with A?
Yeah.
So for
The
instance, if some of the things
so
that we're talking about right now, if we're person A and then there's other people that are person B and they're all saying that this isn't true, but
okay.
it's
So
demonstratably
the
true.
reality. Okay, the reality of the situation is that if it's whoever has authority that matters, right? And
Yeah,
if B, C, D, E have more authority than you, quite honestly, there's nothing you can do. So you can either you can keep fighting the good fight, but like ultimately, if you know, like at the end of the day, if Riot says, you know what, I like everything the way it is, we're not going to prove shit, right? We're keeping it 100% like this. Um, and there's nothing you can do. The one you can protest all you want, but it's like unless you know it's going to be effective, um, the best thing to do is either you stop, you realize that it's not for me, or you create something else. So like you create the change that you want to see in the world.
right.
So whether that's akin to like your academy thing, right? You're frustrated why um, coaches aren't getting up to this level, why players have these mental blocks, and no one is learning, no one is teaching. Um, yeah, you don't complain about it. You just go build it. You go do it. Because like I always do this thing where I complain about MMOs, right? That's literally all I do. So I just complain about MMOs. I complain about trash games. And the truth of the matter is, if I wanted to, I could probably go make a consulting company that just went into like up and coming titles, small companies, and just consult with them. Get a bunch of my gamer friends to go play and
Yeah,
test and QA for them. Like you can do anything that you really have the willpower and mindset and belief in yourself to do. Like really, like a lot of frustrating moments when you think like why isn't there this, why isn't there that, like why isn't this happening. It's not because people don't want it to happen necessarily. It's more so that no one's actually gone up and done it, if that makes any sense. Like you're like imagining like there has to be someone that cares,
yes.
uh and there are, but they don't have the willpower to just do it.
Yeah,
That's and you could be the only human being on this entire earth
yeah.
at this time that has the willpower to do that. And people are saying like you need to have the money, blah blah blah. No, you don't. Like you really don't. You like start things small,
Yeah.
right? You start things small. Like CLG was a website initially.
Really?
You know?
I didn't
It
know.
was a
Okay.
literal
Okay.
fucking website that was like made by some dude that I like found in one of my chats. Like that's how it started, right? Like
Yeah.
everything starts small and you grow it over time and then you build it and then eventually you're like, holy shit, this is like a fucking multi-million-dollar company all of a sudden.
Yep. 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 Yep.
But yeah, I'd be super excited to like see, you have like a training program and an academy, and like at first your first lesson's not going to be that good because you're like, oh shit, now I have to teach people. What is it like being a teacher? Like, how do I have to like be a better teacher? But you know, as long as the consciousness of like I want to constantly improve it is there, I think people will be on board. And I think a lot of people will get a lot of positive feedback. Some people won't, and then you continue to improve and iterate, and then all of a sudden this thing becomes a monster. Like I totally see it.
I had people reach out, and then I get afraid because I don't know if you experienced this. Did you ever used to get afraid when you grew up that people aren't actually around? So I dealt with this a lot, and I've talked about it on my stream, so I'll talk about it again. I'm always wary of people and skeptical. Sometimes when they message me for things, because it feels like people in this industry only message when they want something. That's obviously a shitty thing. But I've talked about this Academy thing for a couple of months, and I've had some orgs reach out and ask to sponsor it. I've had some, and I'm not even just talking about League of Legends orgs. Just, you know, they basically asked what do I need, what do I want, etc., etc. But then I'm like, if I get the rug pulled out from under me with trying to make all of this happen, and then you just go in and try to do what you think is best, it's not going to fucking work. So then I always get wary. But I also get wary that a lot of people, they can want to be a part of something, but not really share the passion. And so that's also part of the problem I'm having, where it's like, I really do want to do this. And you're the second person that I've talked to today about this, actually, about the Academy thing. And it's just something that I'm thinking more and more about, like the last couple of weeks. It kind of is, it is hard, you know? It's going to be a lot of grunt work to get it off the ground, but it is something that I want to do. And I would hope that more things could spawn from it. That would be the end goal.
Yeah, I mean, you should just like I don't see any barriers to this. Like I honestly just think if most of the barriers are internal to yourself. So for instance, like worrying about like XYZ, like you're always going to make mistakes. There's always going to be pain points. The biggest hindrance to yourself seems to be like your fear of external factors that are out of your control, but like just or they might be in your control, but you're basically doomsdaying too much. I think you just need to go do it, and if something doesn't pan out, then it doesn't pan out. But indecision and inaction will cause you so much more suffering than you know, like going through it.
I agree with that. Okay. Is there other stuff you want to talk about?
I mean, it's almost 4, so we'd round out the hour. I guess we can just chill and maybe bring up some questions and chat or something for like 8 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see. I'll just wait for good ones. Or I mean, if you see a good one too.
Is VoyBoy still here?
Is Voy still here?
Let's see. Probably not. Yeah. No player can have that much.
He is.
Oh my god! I was gonna say no player can have that much attention span to like listen to us.
Do you want to get him in the call?
I mean, there's only like 8 minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was gonna see if like he had any questions or like what he thought about the chat or like
okay.
Because like this was all spawned a little bit about like kind of got me heated from.
Do you feel like it was good? Did we miss on anything? Do you think? Can you hear me? Hello?
I mean, I guess we could just bring Boy. Let's bring him.
Am I muted?
Just bring him. No, you're here.
Oh, okay.
You just didn't really say much.
No, I did. I said, do you think that the call overall was good, or did we miss anything?
Oh, I thought you were talking to VoyBoy.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. We should just bring Boy in the call.
No, hold on. Let me do user VoyBoy. Apparently he wrote something. he said, was really good. Enjoyed listening to your perspectives. Agree with so much, to be honest.
Yeah. The question is, how do we fix SoloQ, boy? I love League of Legends as a game. I think it's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
But SoloQ is an abomination and applied to this earth. So like, how do we get on that level? We need an inside man at Riot. Who will be our inside man? Who believes in LS and me and VoyBoy and the collective will of like 7,000 billion people on Reddit?
He wants to get in the call. Do you want to get him in? We only have a few. That
yeah,
just
sure.
sucks. Okay,
Sure.
okay.
I'll sit a little bit longer.
All right. VoyBoy, can you DM me your? Let me. All right, hold on. Okay, wait 1 second. Okay, I just sent you my this talk brought me on an emotional roller coaster. Jesus.
Yeah, dude. That's I've had a lot of experience with this.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, by the way. Really.
I've tried everything. No problem, dude.
Yeah.
I love helping people, so yeah. I've tried castrating myself, I've tried silencing myself, I've tried being over enthusiastic, I've tried, tried everything at this point.
He said he sent it. I don't know what his Discord is. What the hell? Oh, pending. Okay. Okay, I think I got him. Let me try to add him. Okay. Hello?
Hey, what's up,
Hey,
guys?
what's up?
Okay, I'll put on my webcam.
Yeah. Do you have video, boy?
Oh, yeah. 1 sec.
Okay.
Boy wasn't prepared to be on webcam. Oh yeah, he
Oh,
was.
shit.
Wait, I gotta.
I forgot.
Hey, what's up?
buddy?
Okay.
Oh, long time no see.
Wait, hold on.
No, man.
You guys talk. I go bathroom really quick.
Okay, see you.
Well, actually, technically, it's like a long time you haven't seen me, but I've seen you.
Yeah, true.
It's so weird, boy. Let me tell you, okay?
Okay.
Like being a streamer, and like
Mhm.
like how into it I was, and then just like
You were the OG, man. What the hell?
and then just disappearing and just like watching I watch streams now.
Wait, you're a normie?
I'm a normie, dude. It's crazy.
Dude, what happened, bro? What happened?
It's just such a different perspective, though. It's crazy.
What's your favorite streams to watch? I'm just wondering.
I actually watch all like small streamers because I like talking to the chat and interacting.
Yeah,
with
you can
people.
actually like people actually. It's like a little community, and you can like be a part of it. That makes sense.
There's points where like I love going in chat and spamming things, but
yeah, same. I was like heckling you guys a little bit.
Yeah. No.
Fun,
One of my favorite moments was going into Reynad's chat, and like Reynad is very much like LS in me in certain ways, and I know exactly what to say to fucking tilt someone like Reynad. You don't call him a shit player. You don't overtly be a dickhead, but you say things like, I just don't think you're right in this situation. I think that's why you lost.
Yeah.
You're like,
that shit tilts me so hard.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, and like Reynad hated me for the longest time because every time I go in his chat, I just troll the fuck out of him. I'd be like, Reynad, why do you keep making excuses for the reason you played bad here?
Yeah, I've watched him a bit too. He's just like pretty good about like firing back, but I can see like how that could get under his skin for sure.
Yeah.
It's the same for me. Like I've been streaming for like 10 years, and like one little rascal in chat will say something. They just know they're trying to like, get under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
They just be like, maybe if you didn't buy Mallet second on Tristana, your like guy wouldn't have been so upset and he wouldn't have got caught like split it, and then like you would have won the game. Like maybe, and then I'm just like, I don't respond. I'm like, don't read it. Don't respond to it. But I'm like, oh my god, like why does he think that? Like I need to like talk to this guy. Yeah, it's just
No.
it's hard not to sometimes.
You just have to, you don't have to find meaning in it and reason in it. You just have to know that there are people like me out there just like actually intentionally trolling you, like intentionally trying to make your life worse, all to feel better.
I mean, that's literally what like the guy that like the hit piece, he like that was on the front page of Reddit for like 15 hours. He literally crafted a narrative to make me look bad and look like I was running like inting a game to undermine to undermine. Yeah, exactly. And he put like dramatic music. He like put these clips of Tyler and then he put my clips at the end and like tried to paint me as a hypocrite to like it was front page Reddit for like 15 hours. It was basically to undermine everything else I had talked about, like the 20 things I talked about in my video. And he literally crafted the perfect narrative to like make someone random who just, watches this music with Gandhi quotes and like dramatic music and like me just like getting camped and like dying on like Ezreal support. And then like there was so many comments like, I knew Voy was like a liar. I knew we should never trust him. Like he's the problem. Like let's get him. People like sending me messages like it's just, oh my god, dude, it's so tilting.
I'm back.
Hey, you still here? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah. We didn't want to hijack your stream.
We were just talking about how well, actually, this is like, first of all, let me say it was really nice to hear you guys talk. Like George, as one of my old teammates and like a former player, and we've been around the scene forever. And like I think what you were saying, George, like the passion in League, how it's like it's so rare, right? Like it's like you have to go out searching for it, whereas it used to be like everywhere, right? And I think that's something that like hearing you guys talk about the game and like the problems and like the innate issues that we're facing, like a lot of stuff can be helped by just like players having more passion, people caring more, people actually want to be better, people want it, like our community, like our players and like SoloQ and all this stuff to be better, right? Like it's not the only thing that could help, but it's like it's something that it really sucks that it's like so far and few between these days. But like it's really nice to hear from other players like you guys and like people that care a lot and want to see things improve and want the best for like our scene and League and all the players out there. So it's like, yeah, it was really nice and like refreshing for sure to hear you guys talk and have like the heart to heart and stuff like that. I really appreciate that shit. And I know a lot of people out there probably did too.
The difference between you and me, Voy, is like I'm impatient and I'm just like I want it fixed now, but you're like, we need to ascend as human beings. We need as a collective conscious, just get better. We can be better. And Riot is just like, oh boy, say it more. We don't want to do anything. We literally don't want to work at all. We want you to carry us. And here I'm just like, you are like the biggest game on the planet, like a $6 billion, actually, they're not $6 billion, probably way more than that, like $50 billion company. What? Go fix it. Fix it.
Yeah, that's why it's always, to me, for someone who like has experienced these problems and seen it and knows it's like innate and like it's like permeated like our way of life of playing League and like competitiveness, like the fact that they're for so long, like whenever I would talk about on stream, whenever I get frustrated, whenever I vent, like talk to other people, it's just like, well, you can't do anything, you can't fix it. There's problems with like just players. There's problems with like you can't fix SoloQ. You can't fix people like Inting. You can't fix like game quality. Like there's nothing that can be done. But I feel like that's such like it sucks because it's like such an escapist mentality. You're like if you identify problems and you know that they are there and you know that they're creating tremors and like lasting impact on whether it's SoloQ or the competitive scene or NA's ability to like create good teams and like compete at Worlds, like whatever the problem is, if you can identify those problems and people are so willing to just say, well, there's nothing that can be done because there's not an obvious solution, because it's not 1 + 1 = 2, right? Because there actually has to be stuff that is broken down to like a logical, like step-by-step level and like actually figure out, okay, where are the areas of improvement? Where can we actually break it down and see, what are the steps that can be taken? And the fact that there's for such a long time, like people are so against just breaking things down and trying, despite the difficulty, despite the complexity behind some of these situations, like it's really shitty that has existed for so long. And it's nice to hear like from people like ULS, for example, that actually like try to like look at these solutions and like you want to make your academy, which I think is actually a really cool and fantastic idea. And like that's a step. It's not going to be the solution to like all these problems, but like it's a step in the right direction. And like whether it's you taking a step or me getting fed up and like putting out a video and like a lot of people identifying with and rallying with it and like that's another
Yes.
step. It's just like step by step by step by step. Like these are things that can be done slowly over time, and a collaborative effort from like Riot, like the players, like the community, like the pros, like streamers, all this stuff. Like that's what it all needs to come together at the end of the day to like address any of the problems that we face. And it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with trying to do that. And it's definitely nice to have people who feel the same way, I guess I would say.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think that
Amen, brother.
the streamers and the content creators, I think they have to be looked at as a way of like, can they actually help? Because right now Reddit's like all about like fucking cancel culture, right? On certain streamers and stuff, and it's like, no, like some of the streamers they're labeling as toxic, I don't even think are. So I don't know either of your stances on this. I don't perceive Dom as someone who's toxic. I think he's someone that's critical, or he's someone that he says things that he thinks to be correct and he thinks to be accurate. Okay, sometimes he does, obviously he has like the banger tweets and whatever, and sometimes he can really turn up the flames and whatnot. But I don't think Dom is someone that is actually unhealthy because he's moving the needle towards change, or he's trying to with some things. I don't think that's like, I don't know why Reddit is all fucking about canceling people like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta say something, okay?
Yeah.
Last time I met Dom, he shit on CLG. So I'm gonna be honest, okay? This is I don't even have to shit on Dom. I just have to be honest, okay? Like, Dom is fighting the good fight, but he doesn't do it well. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
okay?
that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't do it well.
Right.
And he needs to step up his game, dude.
Right. And rather than be canceled, it could be changed. Like, for instance, I'm supposed to start a show with Dom in this offseason to talk about like problems within strategy that is ever persistent within pro play, right? That's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. But getting someone that is either a content creator that actually cares about this shit, because they're non-existent for the most part, or they're...
Hey.
What? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying...
No, I'm just kidding.
It's really hard. So, like, I feel like me and Dom, with our co-streams... Boy, do you co-stream?
I did for a bit, but I was going through some shit, so I just like stopped streaming, and like I like missed a few weeks of LCS, and I just stopped. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. And you guys like inspired me to try it, and I didn't really know how it would go, but I was like, wow, this is like awesome. Like, yeah, it's really fun to like watch the games, give my opinion. Like, it's conflicting opinions with like what's going on in like supposed to be the highest level of play, like me, like being able to criticize the teams and the players and stuff and be like, this is what they should be doing, they're not doing this. I boggles my mind that no one on the team, no one on the coaching staff, no one, like even after like a week of LCS, and then they wouldn't learn from their mistakes. It's just like, it's just like it was definitely like an enjoyable experience. So I'm gonna try to do it more like next split.
I think co-streaming and videos, I think co-streaming has been a really big driving force on this topic, because it's giving outlets and a lot of attention towards these things that can help. And I think that Dom, rather than being canceled, like fucking Reddit is all on about, it could be angled different. Now, maybe Dom doesn't care about that, but I don't know. Like, I'm really excited for like the show that he and I are supposed to do. Because I think that's going to be cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be really good. I'm excited for, obviously, if I can get the academy up off the ground. I think these little things added up over time matter. But there needs to be more people. But like I was trying to say to HotShotGG, it's like kicking down the door at a crack den. Rather than them accept that they're being complacent and they're being lazy and that there needs to be change, they just want to kill you instead, because that's easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like what you were talking about, like getting crucified on Reddit, like waking up and being scared of like, a thread going at you for like the way you presented like your opinion or like some argument you were trying to make. Like, it was, I mean, just the most recent example, like I made this video because I wanted things to change. I wanted to see if anyone else cared, and like if Riot would address stuff, and I wake up the next morning and there's a front page Reddit there with like 7K upvotes and like 500 comments flaming me, and it was about a lie. Like, they're basically people gaslighting and like making stuff up about me. And it's like, I literally never did anything wrong in League. Like, I've been playing this game for 10 years. I've been in so many like insane, like tilting, like people just hard griefing me, insulting me, like getting personal, like situations. I've always just tried to set a good example. I've always tried to like no matter how bad the game is, I always try to win. I always try to like lead my team. If someone gets tilted, I'm like, it's okay, man, we got this. I try to be that change that I want to see, which is like the quote that they use, the Gandhi quote that they use to like try to make me look bad. And then I wake up and like they're trying to cancel me and it completely eradicate the message of the video where I'm just trying to get some positive change, something started, you know? It's like,
yeah.
And so many people are okay with that and supporting it and lying. And like, it's just like, why is that a thing? Like how, like what satisfaction do people get from like changing a narrative to like make people look bad, to cancel people who are literally just trying to like are trying to do something positive. Maybe they disagree with it, but like you have to see the intent. Like it's like, even if you disagree with like my video or like the points or whatever, like it's coming from a place of like goodwill and just like wanting the best for like our community and like the game and like SoloQ and like our players and stuff like that, everyone's experience. So it's just like, why is like, how is that even possible that like that is like a thing? Like, you know, it's just it's super like, so it's super depressing.
I can tell you like something that I thought about, and it's not in relation to just the current situation, but it's like all like even Twitch, right? There's some points where people are grossly mistreated by Twitch, and it takes unity and it takes like resistance and willpower to like stick together and be like, you know, I'm not going to let this guy get canceled. Like I want to hear what this guy has to say. I believe in this guy. And like that's who we are for you, Voy, at least from that video. Like I came into that thread, I packed the heat, baby. I was in there. I was like, you know, I was standing there with you. And like, I'm here now, right? I'm here supporting you. I probably shouldn't be in the headlines because I just blow things up, right? It's not but someone like you who's level-headed, that believes in positive change and like, you know, doesn't give up, and you know, you're good face for this movement, and that's why, you know, that's why I think the video, like, if I made the exact same thing, no one would care because that I haven't built up that social currency. I'm not that type of person, so it's good that you
I think
spoke up.
Thanks, man. No, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I really didn't know what to expect, so it was pretty crazy just to see the amount of people that resonated with like the points or the message, and even if you didn't just agree with like every single thing, like it's obvious that like this sentiment has been building for a long time just because of like how many people chimed in with their perspective and like cared about it and stuff like that too, and like. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like imagine if I actually had done something wrong, you know, in my past. Like if there was something that they could just point to and just be like, this completely invalidates everything they said. Like they literally made up stuff to try to take away and like de-ravel like the positive message and the change that I was trying to like call for. So it's just like, yeah, it's just like I'm happy I did it, and like, you know, regardless of like the negative or positive like attention or backlash, like I just hope that from all of this, with Riot saying they're listening and so many people like talking about it and thinking about it, like that some positive change comes out of it. And even like a lot of people were just like replying, and I saw comments like people were like, whoa, like I realized that like I'm part of the problem. I'm like super toxic. I grief games when like, you know, someone doesn't listen to me or it starts to go bad, and like I just realized like I'm actually hurting people. It's actually ruining experience, and I'm gonna try to be better. And like that's so refreshing and encouraging, because like if more people just recognize that and we're able to like see the change and like be better for themselves and like other players. Like I'm not saying everyone has to be perfect. I'm not saying you can't rage, you can't lose your cool, like you can't vent at your team if they mess up. But like just, you know, people that literally intentionally ruin games are saying that, you know, maybe they're gonna stop now. And that's, you know, that combined with hopefully Riot changing something systematic and, you know, taking some correct steps to improving the current situation, which is, you know, terrible, then, you know, hopefully some good comes out of it, and every player out there can have a better experience playing the game we love, right? Because like for me, like I've always had anxiety problems my whole life, and like jumping onto stream for 8 hours to like try my best to like have a good time and like teach people and like play at like a challenger level and like all this stuff, and just like to like have people sniping lobbies, like running it down, like following me or like making fun of me like in my games, and like having to just like what is the course of action? Like what can I do instead of just sitting there and taking it, right? And like for so long, that's what so many of us did, right? Like when stuff like this happened, or whether you're not a streamer, like whatever, it's just you're just taking the abuse and the punishment, and, like your game that you love, like you can't even play it, right? Like that's the shittiest feeling in the world. And you know, I just want something to change, and you know, hopefully it does.
The reality of things is, right, like the most change I've ever seen from Riot is when they started to fall from the top. So like when Fortnite came out, like implementation of a new monetization system, server wide, just like came out of nowhere, right? Yep. Like when Overwatch popped out, like huge changes across the board, just like let's go. And I just think like once you get at the top, it's hard to care because it's like, well, you're like still playing, boy. Like you're still playing, right? Like you could be frustrated all you want, but you're still playing. Like you know, and that's just the reality of things. So, and I just want Riot in this situation for once to like drop the level of hubris, like maybe talk to people, dig into like how they feel. Don't look at the numbers like entirely and just be like, we can build this assumption like people feel things. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I love Blastoise though. I love that like
Blastoise gets into it. With
he's
public.
really good about that.
And he wants to be in front of the public. I know Riot's had like some really big blunders with like their employees saying dumb shit and like making mistakes. But like even though they get a bunch of memes created about them, and even though like it hurts their company's reputation, I think being interactive with the community and being engaged with us is like worth so much more than you know, like some of these memes that pop up. And honestly, these memes are doing more good for them than not, to be honest. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Also, Dom asked if he can join. I don't know.
This is turning into.
I mean, you can bring on Dom. I gotta go because
shoot,
way past the time. My friends are waiting for me. I was gonna play Don't Starve together on like this super hard mode with them. So
wait, so are you saying that playing Don't Starve together is more important than the future of North America? No,
I think you're part of the problem here, George. What's going on?
The answer is at this point in my life, like there's a torch. I've passed it, and here you go, LS. Have fun, dude.
I'm quitting after Worlds. It's all over. Like,
then you'll find the torch and you'll give it to someone else, and they'll quit immediately because they'll be like, they walk into the room and it's like, oh, there's that dude, and like everything's on fire.
Did you ever see Scary Movie 2?
No.
Oh my god, The Exorcist when he walks into the room. Wait, let me find it. I'm gonna play it on stream. Holy shit.
Okay. Fuck off. Stop picking on me saying like all the time.
They were doing that to me, I think.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I think so.
We all do it. We're all
Fuck this.
Jesus Christ.
Sometimes I wish I just had the willpower to care and like go into like a speech class and be like, fuck, I did it again. God damn it. I'm done speaking. You silent.
I used to get really embarrassed when I do like an interview or like I was just like really passionate about something. I feel like when I'm just like talking and like I'm just like it just comes out for some reason. It's just like a filler. But yeah, I know what you mean. It sucks.
We need to get Jat on here. Jat's got personal training from like Riot's crack team of
Wait, you mean Dom's crack team?
Dom's crack team.
Jat would be cool to talk to.
Do you? So I know Hotshot has to go, but Void, do you want to set up another call and we can get more people in it? We could do it even tomorrow if you have time.
Yeah, I'd be down. That sounds good.
Get
that sounds
Dom.
Fun. Yeah, we can get Dom in there.
We could. I mean, I can message you in private if you have other people that we could get into the call. I think that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, we could figure something out. That sounds good.
I feel the essence of integrity and passion just slowly permeating the air. You know, it's building. And hopefully, instead of it being meaningless and nothing happens, something will come of it.
Why do you? Because you were talking about like players don't care, like there's no passion. Like why do you think that is like a more prevalent thing like now compared to before?
I I mean, I think personally, this is all an issue of systemics. Like, I think Riot for a long time has been doing small little things to disincentivize people putting in effort. They've been punishing people that have been putting effort slowly. They don't mean to do it, but it is a result. So, for instance, like you could see borders back when they first introduced it on everybody, right? But then you
Mhm.
like you know like what your opponents would be, and then they also had like first pick based on like the highest elo. There's a lot. I can't bring them all up right now, but there's just like small little nicks that they do to like diminish what it means to be successful and improve and show improvement. And it's just been an accumulation of that over time that's built up, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not sure why, but it's definitely noticeable. And you can kind of see it in like, it's in like pro play, like streams, it trickles down. I feel like it's all like pretty interconnected.
There
but yeah.
was Mike Morenheim that recently, he left Blizzard and he's like starting up his new studio. He commented on World of Warcraft about accessibility and how it hurt the player experience. And I feel like Riot is really just landing every decision they make has to be for everyone.
Okay.
What was that new feature, the Eternals that like popped up?
Yeah.
That's a feature for everyone. Like everything is for everyone. I've never seen something other than like Challenger jackets, which is like, bro, I'm not getting hyped about Challenger jackets. Let's be honest. Like that only affects 300 people, and they're kind of like whatever. People are just gonna sell them on eBay. Like no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I want sick recalls. I want some cool cosmetics. I want something. Gotta get like flexing.
Hey, you want to see my Challenger jacket?
Oh god, get out of here. I'm out. I'm out.
Are you leaving?
Guys.
Okay, I'll talk to you
that was
later.
my point.
Oh,
All right, see you, George.
No, take care, guys. It was nice talking to you.
Okay,
All
bye,
right.
George. See you.
See you.
Okay, hello,
All right.
Voy.
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, so let's try to plan. We can just do it on Discord, I guess. I can message you because I was supposed to go too at 9. I have another meeting.
Oh shoot, I ruined both your guys' time
8:30.
schedule.
No, it's
Hey,
8:21.
My bad, man.
I have 40
All
minutes.
right.
So, do you have time tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got time for you, baby.
Okay. Nice. Cap Pride. All right. Let's. I know me, you, and Dom are fine. If you have anyone else that you want to get, let's just do that, and then we'll just do the same thing. I guess we're doing here.
Okay, sounds good.
That sounds pretty good. And then I'm super flexible on times, so I don't have anything conflicting.
Yeah, I know you got those all day schedules, bro.
It's terrible. I'm in 3 time zones.
Oh my god. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks
for
for having
coming
me
on
on.
and chatting. Yep.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, bye.